There was a time when British carmakers had a habit of looking at Ferrari and Aston Martin, pointing at their elegant and outrageously fast Grand Tours, and saying, "Yeah, we could do that." Most of the time, they couldn't, but every now and then, some brave souls got it absolutely right. Enter the Gordon-Keeble. This was a car that should have been a hit. It had the right ingredients, an Italian design body, a rock-solid American V8, and a British chassis that handled better than a sports car had any right to in the 1960s. It had the performance, the looks, and somehow it was cheaper than its main rivals. So why did it disappear into the history books? Well, let's start at the beginning. It starts with John Gordon, a car dealer who was probably tired of selling other people's cars and wanted to build his own. He was involved with Peerless Cars, a company that built a reasonably quick Grand Tourer based on the Triumph TR3. It was light, stylish, and handled like a go-kart, but the company had all the financial stability of a drunk man on a tightrope. So Gordon left. Before he walked away though, he took a trip to Detroit, where he fell in love with the Chevrolet small block V8. Back then, Europe was still obsessed with finicky, high-strung straight sixes that made a nice noise but required an entire race team to keep them running. The Americans, meanwhile, had cracked the code of effortless power. Gordon saw the future, bought a couple of engines, and had them shipped to Britain. Then along came Gordon-Keeble, an engineer who had been tasked with shoving one of these Chevy V8s into a Peerless GT for a client. The result was so good that Gordon took one drive and decided that they should build an entirely new car around it. Now Gordon knew that British engineering could build a good chassis, but design has always been where Italy flourished. So he packed up his new space frame chassis and took it to Italy, to Bertone. They handed the project to a 21-year-old designer called Giorgetto Giugiaro, who would later go on to design the VW Golf, the Lorian DMC-12, and basically every car you've ever loved. But at the time, he was just a young guy, looking to prove himself. What he came up with was stunning. The Gordon-Keeble. This thing had a low, wide stance, sharp lines, and just enough chrome to remind you that it was from the 1960s. It looked every bit as expensive and exotic as anything coming out of Maranello. This was a car that would make people turn their heads, which is something you definitely want when you're building a Grand Tourer. With the car looking like $1 million, all it needed was an engine that could back up the looks, and that's where the Chevrolet small block V8 came in. Originally, they used a 283 cubic inch 4.6-liter version, but by the time production started, they upgraded it to a 327 cubic inch 5.4-liter V8, producing 300 horsepower. In the 1960s, this was an absurd amount of power. To put it into perspective, a Ferrari 250 GT of the same era made roughly the same power, but cost twice as much. The Gordon-Keeble was a budget Ferrari, and that should have made it a hit. Now I will say they did make some questionable choices in some departments, for instance the Gordon-Keeble badge. You see, while most GTs have something aggressive, like a prancing horse, a charging bull, a growling cat, the Gordon-Keeble had a tortoise. Why? Well, because during the photo shoot for the prototype, a tortoise wandered onto the set and seemed entirely unfazed by the roaring V8. Gordon and Keeble, perhaps slightly mad from a lack of sleep, decided that this should be the car's emblem. And let's all be honest for a second, when you see a tortoise, you don't really think of speed. Anyways, in 1964, after years of delays, the Gordon-Keeble finally entered production. It had everything going for it: a lightweight fiberglass body, 4-wheel disc brakes, and a 0 to 60 mph time of under 6 seconds. That was quicker than the Aston Martin DB5. The motoring press loved it. It was comfortable, fast, and at just under £4,000, it was a bargain. But here's where things went wrong. The company was run on a shoestring budget, and suppliers started failing to deliver parts on time. With each delay, potential customers went elsewhere, money ran out, and by 1965 the company collapsed. A group of investors tried to save it, but they also failed, and by 1966 the Gordon-Keeble was dead. In total, only 100 cars were built, 99 during the company's short life, and one final car from leftover parts. That's it. One of the greatest GTs of the era, gone in a puff of mismanagement and bad luck. But while most failed cars disappear into history, the Gordon-Keeble has managed to hang on. Nearly all 100 of the original cars are still around today, thanks to an active owners club that refuses to let it be forgotten. On the rare occasions one comes up for sale, they fetch well over $100,000. But at the end of it, this car just shows us the reality of our world. Hard work and great ideas are needed to build something successful, but so is money, and the right people to manage said money. Now, I do think these days it is a bit easier with social media to get your ideas out there and get funding, but money still makes the world go around, and I think that's kind of sad. But at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys think of this car. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys did like this video, you probably also enjoy some of my other videos, so just go through my channel, see if there's something else you like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers,